Hi, I'm JJ, and this is midnight, and this is Lucky if she comes in the screen. Anyway, welcome or welcome back. It is Tag Tuesday, so I'm doing the Historathon Book Tag. It's the Ancient Cultures edition, and it was created by Jack of the Rambling Raconteur, and it's I'll put his link below, but it's Rambling Raconteur 1616, and I was tagged by Mike over at Bibliophile Reads. And Historathon is a event where it's divided. It's a year-long event, and it's divided into quarters. So the first quarter, which would be the ancient cultures, is prehistory to 500 AD or CE, Common Era. And that is going to be kind of the groups of people that it will be talking about in this tag. And it's a really fun event if anyone is not familiar with it. Nonfiction, just anything that covers those dates. So number one for this tag, Romans. What books, writers, and genres are your bread and circus? As I guess it doesn't technically have to be nonfiction for this. So as for writers, I really enjoy Steinbeck and the books I've read so far of his, and Elizabeth Gaskell. Genres, I enjoy nonfiction a lot, but I read a lot of historical fiction as well, some contemporary fiction, a lot of not genres, but I read classics and a lot of authors from around the world. Number two, the Sumerians. What is a work you read many years ago but still appreciate? So I recently reread The Crucible. I read that and enjoyed that in high school. I'm distracted because my cats are gonna get into trouble here. They fight a lot. I reread The Crucible about a year ago, and it is about the Salem witch trials. It is a play by Arthur Miller, and it was written during the Red Scare in the United States, which were they were rounding up a lot of suspected communists because we were during the Cold War. But also during that time there was the Lavender Scare, which was a lot of people in the LGBT community were rounded up as well. And so like co-workers turned on each other, family turned on each other, neighbors, friends, all that stuff were basically told to turn in their anyone they knew that was suspected. And so it's very similar to what he was trying to show with the Salem witch trials in this, basically witch hunts and mass hysteria, and how hatred leads to such detrimental things. So I read that in high school and really enjoyed it, and it has always stuck with me, and I wanted to reread it and see if it still held up, and it did. So that's what I'm picking for here. Number three, the Shang. What is your favorite non-example to pillory? And so in other videos that I saw for this tag, they were talking about books or authors that you like to hate on. And I'm not really much of a hater. I criticize books. I pick them apart and constructive criticism. If I don't like a book, or if it's not for me, it's just not for me, and I don't specifically rant or hate on it. Number four, early Basketmaker. Name an early work that points the way to later monuments. I guess you could say, well, Gilgamesh, Beowulf, anything Homer's Iliad or Odyssey. Not only have there's been a lot of retellings lately, especially for the Iliad and Odyssey, but those are epics. They're poems. It kind of showed us the hero's journey. It led to, the fantasy as a genre. Basically, all the epic tales that people have of on the hero's journey, where some nobody gets chosen and then has to prove themselves. They have to save the world, all that stuff. So we have Harry Potter, the Hunger Games, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Like, so much of the literature that we read now, Lord of the Rings, all this stuff can be traced back to the origins of those epic poems. Number 6, or wait, I missed 5. The Babylonians. What book did you expect to be impenetrable but found quite easy to sink into? I would have to say The Count of Monte Cristo. That was my first foray into classics, and I don't know why I wanted to jump off the deep end and start with that, but I'm glad that I did, because that led me into all kinds of classics and stuff afterwards. And I'm really glad that I am not intimidated by length, because I've read some really great books that are really long. Had that not been good, it might have dissuaded me from trying anything else, but since it was so great, I now can, it will allow me to not bulk at size anymore and be intimidated by that. Number 6, the Persians. How do you organize your bookshelves? Well, I don't have a lot of room currently, so I actually have a storage unit that has my books and my clothes and all the extra stuff. And so the few bookshelves that I do have, I have my most intended TBR, I guess. So once I read them, I bring them back to my storage unit and then get the new stuff that I want to read in the near future. If I kind of get in the mood for something, because I am very much of a mood reader, I go back to the storage unit and find the book that I'm looking for, and usually a few other to add to my shelves and try to make room for. And it's kind of nice, because I bought them all because I know that I'm going to read them someday. I mean, I do have quite a big library. I just don't get to show it like a lot of you guys do. So I get to go there, and it's fun, because it's almost like going to the store again and rediscovering something, especially if they're things that I've bought years ago and just haven't gotten to. I get to be surprised with what I have in there. And then sometimes I know exactly what I'm looking for, and I go there for that specific book. But sometimes I go there just kind of browse around and grab something new. Number 7. Maybe if I organize, before I go to 7, if I organize my storage unit in a way, maybe I can show you, maybe I'll do a video of 10 books that I find in my storage unit that I want to show you, and kind of give you a tour of my my tastes and stuff that's on my very, very long TBR. Number 7, Ishango, bone of Middle Stone Age, Central Africa. How does the length of a work affect your reading experience? I talked about this already. I don't really, it doesn't affect me. Nonfiction is a bit different. That is a bit more daunting if it's really long. But I do tend to read or listen to a lot of nonfiction. I really got into audiobooks once I started listening to podcasts and watching documentaries. So I retain a lot better for that kind of information when I'm listening it rather than when I'm reading that kind. So I have found that that's the best way for me to retain and process really dense information. Number 8, the Huns. Do you read or pack books while how do you read and pack books while you're traveling? So this might seem counterintuitive, but if I'm only going for a short time, I bring a Kindle with me. That way, I have a whole bunch of books on there. I can read them as I want to. I know that I'll have access to outlets and stuff where I can repower it as needed. But it's nice to always have something just in case I have time to read. The times where I travel for long distances or a long amount of time was mostly when I was in the Army Reserves, and we did our weekly training. And I learned after the first, or the 2-week training, and I learned after the first one that you have a lot of downtime. And so I didn't want to get stuck with just one book, and you never have the ability to like power it up or anything. So I cannot bring a Kindle there. So I used to pack just my, physical books, and a couple here and there. There's one time there I packed a few. But then one of my last training for the 2 weeks was in El Salvador. And we were there for 2 weeks, and it was an ongoing mission where we just kind of had a rotating group. And so everything was already set up for the job that we had to do. I do water purification. And once it's all set up, hourly, you're checking the levels like the chlorine and stuff like that. And so when there's like 9 of you, and you're only checking it hourly for the daylight hours, you only have to check it once or twice every several hours for you. And the rest of the time was a lot of sitting around and just making sure everything is going good, making sure there's no mishaps or anything like that. So I, on my carry-on, had a backpack and packed 9 books with me for those 14 days, just in case I brought one and I didn't like it or something. I wanted to have options, and I brought thick books too, and I read all 9 books in 14 days. So that was my entire carry-on. When I do travel around here, road trips and stuff in the United States, I always end up getting a book or two. Even if I'm just stopping at we went to like a museum or different things, the souvenir shop. Sometimes I'll even get a book there, but I always try to at least bring something home with me to remember the trip. Number 9, I am probably gonna butcher this pronunciation. The Aurignacian culture, which I'm going to have to research that because I have never actually heard of it. What are your favorite pop culture references to ancient cultures? I have already done a video recently on retellings. So I like a lot of Shakespeare retellings. I like just essentially any kind of references. What I find intriguing is the fact that Babylon has kind of made its way in pop culture as referring to corruption and evil, and there's a lot of songs that reference it, or lyrics, or anything that, farewell to Babylon, about the end of a culture, or just referencing like the other, which I find fascinating how that has come to be. Also how Cleopatra, like you mentioned names like that, and even the Greek gods and goddesses and stuff. Medusa as a villainess. They're quick references when you're trying to describe a person or a situation or something. You say it and people know what kind of person you're talking about just by that reference, which I find fascinating. And number 10, the Minoans established trade routes and tagged some people. I will be posting this quite a bit later than a lot of people, so I'm going to have to go through and find out who hasn't been tagged or who hasn't done this yet, and then I will tag people down below. But anyway, thank you, Mike, for tagging me, and for Jack for creating this tag, and for the Historathon creators as well, because I've really been enjoying participating in Historathon and reading a whole lot of different books that have been on my list to read, but I haven't had a reason to move them up to my TBR. So I'm really glad that I have. And once again, as always, thank you and happy reading.